Hello, amazing humans out in the globe. Hey, so I want to discuss with you today about courage. Now, most people just talk about manifestation and they don't really talk about any other human experiences, right? And so, as a psychologist and behavioral scientist, my mind goes to what does it mean to be the whole being? Okay, what does it mean to include things, not just see manifestation as some compartmentalized skill that we all do? No, no, no. See, even if we realize and recognize that we're divine, which I think is extremely important, and Neville Goddard and many other people actually talk about this, about realizing our own divinity. So that really means there's an otherness to us. There's something to us that's not human. Okay. And so we're in relationship with that being. Okay. I love Neville's words, which are, this being is called imagination, right? And so when we're talking about this, though, loads of people love to be very protective of, well, you know what, manifestation is over here and it's something that we do, but we can't really use anything outside of manifestation, right? So, for example, even within the work of Neville Goddard or within the work of Esther Hicks or something, and people are very puritanical about it. And the reality is that this divine being chose to be in a human suit. Wait, take it in. Okay, chose to be and to use this flesh suit. There's nothing wrong with being human. In fact, if you look at Neville's work, he even calls this the law of what? Liberty. Well, God doesn't need liberty. Who needs liberty? Us. From what? From thinking that we're only human. Okay. So then change is an inevitable part of this journey. And change, by the way, positive change towards the direction of us fulfilling our dreams and getting what we want is actually part of our awakening. Okay, so change equals awakening. Growth equals awakening. The Bible calls that going from glory to glory. Okay, so that's like going from change to change. Okay, or even from faith to faith. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that we have other tools that even this human avatar has that we can use to help us along the journey. So, for example, neuroscience shows that courage is a switch, like a full-on like light switch. Okay, that's pretty powerful to know. But the way that we activate the light switch is that we have to actually go through what's called exposure therapy, right? And so exposure therapy means we slowly and minutely put ourselves in the scenario of the new person. In here first, out here second, right? Most people say, no, just live here. No, I actually don't believe Neville's work is solipsistic, which means all you do is you think everything is mind, right? Ultimately, everything is imagination. That is not the same as everything is being mind, okay? Now, you might have other religions who say differently, like Hinduism, right? And I'm not knocking any of these different views. That's fine whatsoever, right? But I'm sharing with you my journey and my experiences of using manifestation predictively through the work of Neville Goddard, right? And so I want you to be fully aware of that. What we need is we need change. We need to become change junkies. And so if we learn how to hack this body, we get more aware, right? So it isn't that we somehow think that this is separate from this. This is part of this through choice. The divine has chosen these bodysuits, right? These like spiritual rompers, right? In trying to understand and navigate what it means to awaken. And that's what we're here for. We're here to awaken. And so the more that we get closer to uncovering the divine within by appropriating states, by changing states, by becoming the person who has everything that we want, all of those things impact us. And so, for example, let's go back to what the changing of states is, okay? Because it's very, very important, right? The changing of states is just that, it's change. Okay, so if you've looked at my other video, which I would encourage you on the ego, you'll know that the ego's role 100% is to self protect you. So, change, I don't care if it's positive change, negative change, it doesn't matter. Change in any way, shape, or form to the ego is always going to be perceived as a threat. So, in one sense, you can say the ego is one state. Because remember, Neville defines states as what? A body of beliefs that come with a perceptive lens, a way of seeing things, right? So, when you are engaging with change, you have to realize that there may be a moment, right? Even both Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard talk about how there are basically some residual after effects of changing the state. And so you might see that in the process of changing the state, oh, the old man's trying to show up. Oh, old thoughts are trying to show up. Oh, because you're in the middle of that change and the ego still sees it as a threat, even though you might be on the back end and you're like, nope, I'm in the middle of this bridge of incidents. Don't forget to check out my video on the bridge of incidents, right? And so, what you have to really, really fully comprehend and accept is that change is the inevitable. So, check out my other video on what is inevitable and not inevitable, right? But what is inevitable is that the way and the quick way to manifest is to embrace change, right? Because you're changing your perspectives, you're changing your state, which is your body of beliefs. So, if you really want to get good at this, because remember, this takes time, right? And I don't like people always saying, well, no, you can manifest a house in 4 minutes. Yes, you can, but you have to get there first, right? Nobody comes out of the womb this way. Now, Esther Hicks might say, well, babies do and they do this easily. I get it. I understand that. And there is actually some deep spiritual esoteric truth to what she's saying, but we're usually not aware of it because we tend to be impacted by our childhood and our childhood experiences and the way we're parented and our church life and our group life and our school life. All of these things are comprising a model for us to be in the world, and we forget that we're God. Okay, so the way that you get to better awareness is to embrace a behavior of change and turn it into a model that works for you, and you follow that model. Okay, but like I said, with change, you need courage. Okay. So, how do you get into it? How do you tap into courage so that it can be part of every part of your journey? Right. Meaning, like, okay, I want to change to be a house owner. I want to change to be loved. Or I want it all at once. Right. And we're going to answer that as well in another video about whether you can do more than one thing. So, this is how you get courage. You create micro steps towards the new person. Okay, so this is again using neuroscientific research about how the brain works towards courage, and then actually using these through behavioral science and creating micro steps, small steps, right? Baby steps. Okay, and then you end up getting to the point where you end up changing the actual self. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't try to do and manifest the less, I don't want to say less important things, but I also don't want to say small things. But for lack of a better word, the small things, right? Hey, I manifested a compliment. Hey, I manifested, a free drink. Whatever it is, keep manifesting those throughout the day because that'll prove to you that this is real. But if there's any bigger issues, right, then you can actually use this model to ignite and turn the switch of courage on in your mind, right? And again, so how do you do this? Well, you do what this person would do in the new state now. And I'm talking about not just in here, but here first, this second, always that, right? Now, what this means is that you have to create a pathway to get you from where you are now in the state of lack, right, to the state of having. And so, do you see what I just did there? The state of lack to the state of having. There's still a gap in between here. That gap needs to be filled. It could be filled with fear and self-protection and then staying here, or it could be filled with, and now Neville calls that the bridge of incidents. And we're going to, again, check out the video on it. But what you end up doing, though, is you end up creating steps, active steps, yes, in this world as well, right? And you create active steps of becoming that person. How would they make decisions every day? How would they go about their day? What would they physically be doing? Right? How would they be treating others differently? And so on and so forth. And so you're creating the perfect version of yourself that you're going to embody, again, in here first, second, right? So then you prioritize the inner self, and then the outer self will come. And do you need to do any of this active step stuff? No, it will eventually come, but I do, and I see it working way faster and quicker. And there is science behind that because you're uniting and fusing the relationship between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And so this actually creates a much faster, basically de-widening of this gap right here that we were talking about, right? Being in the old state, being in the new state. And so the more proactive that you are, then the faster that you can become as a manifester, right? So again, courage is steps. We think courage is, I'm going to run the mountain. And there are times for that, by the way. But for the most part, courage is A1, to A2 to A3, then to B, right? From A to B, no. It's A1, A2, A3, AB, right? So work on that. Come up with some amazing models that you've worked out for yourself. Share them with people below because that's encouragement, right? And I want this to be supportive. I also have a Discord group I'd love for you to join. That's free. And we're also doing a 5-day challenge on Facebook this coming Tuesday when you watch this video. So get in touch for that. So much love to you guys all. Thank you for your support.